Okay, so we are live. All right, so we are live and we are about to have fun doing some accounting. Welcome to the Accounting Academy first YouTube live stream. Thank you so much for coming on. All right, and it's indeed a pleasure to have you. While we wait for a few other persons to come on, let me just share some contact information with you guys so you can contact us if you need to. All right, so our email address is learn@taa@gmail.com. You can connect with me on Facebook and on Instagram. Our details are on the screen. So you could find me on both Facebook and Instagram. I made it easy for you guys. You could find me both Instagram and Facebook at Makeda Skinner Howard or the Accounting Academy. And same thing on Instagram, Makeda Skinner Howard or the Accounting Academy. And you can also connect with us via WhatsApp. All right. And that WhatsApp number is 868-709-6136. Let me just check my device here and see if you all are seeing me and hearing me properly. So I'm just checking my device to see how you all are seeing me. If you're hearing and you're seeing me clearly, drop a 1 in the comments, please. All right. So if you're seeing me and you're hearing me clearly, drop a 1 in the comments. If you're hearing and you're seeing me clearly, I'm getting some feedback from my device there. All right, fantastic. And of course, my name is Makeda Skinner Howard. Miss Makeda will be fine. Miss will be fine. If you have to distinguish between the other thousands of Makeda, then you could, call out or pull out the last name, the Skinner Howard, right? So Makeda Skinner Howard, I'm the founder and chief educator at the Accounting Academy. I'm also an accountant. I'm studying to be a life coach as well. Yes, I wear a lot of hats and I'm also a mom of 3. So let's see what's happening in the chat there. Again, drop those 1s if you're seeing and hearing me clearly. Don't forget to like, of course. You must like and subscribe so that YouTube will show this video to more persons. Before I jump into the question, I think that it is very important that I share one of my favorite quotes with you all, and it is, what you're seeing on your screen now, there is no glory in practice, but without practice, there is no glory. All right? I think they misspelled some of the practice there, but you get the gist. All right? Doing the practice is stressful. It's painful sometimes. It's sweaty, right? But there is no glory without it. So we cannot get away from it. And POA is a subject that you have to practice to pass. It's not one of those subjects that you could just sit down and read, and get away with it. You have to. All right. So while you're practicing, remember, there is no glory in practice, but without practice, there is no glory. All right. Now that you understand that, let's look at number 1. And every Monday, I share multiple choice Monday in my Instagram stories. And I share these questions that I'm going to discuss in my stories. And, I found that the marks, the amount of persons who got them correct could have been better. So instead of doing an IGTV, I decided to do the YouTube. So of course, you need to let me know if you appreciate the YouTube so that I can do some more. Once you appreciate it, we could work something out and you can get some more YouTube videos coming. All right, a credit balance. So I'm going to read the question. A credit balance on a sales ledger account means what? What does this mean? Does it mean that a customer has overpaid? Does it mean that a customer has underpaid? Is it a contra entry, or is it that the customer owes the business money? Now you have to, don't just read for reading's sake. Don't read for sports, all right? Take your time and dissect the questions. When you're in the exam, you may not have time to fully dissect the questions, but once you have been practicing, it's going to come easier. All right. In the exam, you have like 1.5 minutes per multiple choice question. So you need to practice. All right. What is the credit balance? What does that mean? So these are some of the questions you have to ask yourself when you're doing it. I have a student who said that she don't have any problem with the paper 2 questions, but the paper 1 question, sometimes she don't understand how they phrase it. All right, so what is a credit balance? What is a sales ledger account? These are things you have to ask yourself so that you can be able to answer the question. All right, a credit balance means that the balance brought forward is on the credit side. And what is a sales ledger account? We have 3 ledgers. We have our purchases ledger, we have our sales ledger, and we have our general ledger. In the sales ledger, we have our customers who purchase from us on credit. All right. So when somebody purchases from us on credit, they owe us money. That means that their account is an accounts receivables account. It is also an asset account. All right, so those are some fundamental things that you need to understand so that you can answer this question properly. On the right hand side, look for my cursor moving. You're going to see the marks, the number of persons who attempted the question and the number of persons who got it correct, right? So I'm going to try to break it down as simple as possible so that you can understand. On the screen, I have some T accounts, or I have some records, all right? And I want you to, in order to answer that question, I want you to make sure you understand what happens when a customer purchases on credit and what happens when that customer eventually pays. So let's say I'm on the first T account here. So let's say that the customer would have purchased they purchased $100 worth of goods, right? We're not going to go into any details with filling out the T account. If you want more information on that, I share the WhatsApp information. You all can contact me, drop a comment below, and I will come back to it after. All right, debit that customer account, and we're going to credit sales. All right, good. Now, when the customer pays cash, we have to go and update the customer's account. So we're going to debit our cash account when the customer pays cash. All right, let me put that in a different color. So we're going to debit, and I'm doing a little shorthand here due to time. All right, so we're going to debit the cash the cash account for 200. Let's say the customer paid 200. We debit the cash account for 200, and we now have to credit the customer's account with that same figure. Now, if we look at the customer's account, which will be found in the sales ledger, we would see that the credit side is more than the debit side. All right. And that is also going to mean that we're going to have a credit balance. Because when we balance off, let me just show you this here, balance carry forward. All right. You're going to have to put $100 here to make the both sides balance. And if you have your balance carry forward on the debit side, all right, it means when you start back the new month, you're going to have a balance. The balance brought down is going to be on the credit side. So your balance brought down is going to be 100. Right? So the balance carry forward is going to be the same balance you have to bring forward. So they are asking us if our customer has our sales ledger account has a credit, what it is, a credit balance, all right, which is what we're seeing on the screen right now in red. Our customer account has a credit balance. What does that mean? It means that the customer would have overpaid, as we are seeing. The customer paid 200 instead of 100. That is why the customer has a credit balance. All right. So that is your answer there, a credit balance on a sales ledger account, right? What is a sales ledger account? A sales ledger account is an account where you have it's basically a customer's account, right? A customer who purchased on credit. Okay, so if that account has a credit balance, as we could see below here, in the little example, it means that the customer has overpaid, not the customer has underpaid. All right, so you try this little example and you could change this 200 to probably $50 or $75 and see what is the effect. Where would your balance be? It is not a contra entry, so they're also testing here whether you know what is a contra entry and the customer does not owe us any money. All right, a contra entry is just where you transfer money between either your cash or your bank account. Okay, so that's one of the things I appreciate with CSEC. They find interesting ways to test the entire syllabus. So let me know how that explanation was. Do you understand? Did you enjoy the explanation? If you did, please take a nice screenshot and share it on your social media pages. Let other persons know that we are on and that we are sharing some good tips, all right? I'm sharing this information free of charge with you all. I share information all the time, free of charge. My DMs are always filled on Instagram. I actually had a student who messaged me to tell me thanks so much, she got a 1. All right, I didn't get a chance to include it into the testimonial, but go across to my Instagram page and you're going to see testimonials across there. All right. So, number 2, which of the following situations will not affect the trial balance? Again, you have to pay very close attention to the wording, right? Which of the following situations will not affect the trial balance? There are some errors that will affect the trial balance, and then there are some errors that will not affect the trial balance. Okay? And there are 6 of them that do not affect the trial balance. So which one will not? If I am doing this question, I'm going to look for the transactions that will affect the trial balance, and then obviously the others will not. All right. So the purchase of a new motor van has been omitted from the books. So this was never recorded from step 1. So this is not going to affect your trial balance because it's not going to affect any of your records because it was omitted. And this is what we call an error of omission. All right. So once you see and the trial balance measures or checks the accuracy of your arithmetic. All right. So it's checking to see whether you have a debit and a credit to match. If you have a debit and a credit that is matching, right, you're not going to see any, it's not going to affect the trial balance because you have a debit and a credit. If you have one entry though, that is not matching another entry, that is going to cause the trial balance to be off. Okay, and we can see in point number 2, it says the credit entry has been left out for a cash sale. Anytime you have one of your double entry being incorrect, it's going to affect the trial balance. So that's a nice little tip there. Point number 3, double entry has been posted as 424 instead of 244. Yes, they made an error, all right, but they told us the double entry was posted incorrectly. The double entry was posted as 424. So this is not going to affect the trial balance because both the debit and the credit shows as 424. Even though it is incorrect, right? So on my right hand side there, I have some letters, and it also is an acronym, and this acronym helps you remember the errors that do not affect the trial balance. Okay, So we have C, that's commission. We have O for omission, P for principal, O for original entry. We have C for complete reversal, and then we have C again for compensating. We don't have the time to go through all of them. If you need to contact me, if you need to get more information concerning these things, feel free to contact me, all right? Or drop a comment below. Of course, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and connect with us on IG. So which one is the answer, right? Because number 1 does not affect the trial balance. Number 2 affects the trial balance. So whatever answer you choose should not have number 2 in it, because number 2 is a one-sided entry. Any entry that is one-sided, or any entry that has an incorrect left or right side, or an incorrect debit or credit side, that is going to show up in your trial balance. And you're going to have to maybe create a suspense account. All right. So number 2 is affecting my trial balance. Number 3 is not affecting because double entry using the wrong figure. Repairs to machinery was debited to the machinery account. That's not going to affect my trial balance either. Right? Because there was no error with the repairs to the machinery account, and they did not tell us anything about whether the credit side was incorrect. So we have to assume that the credit side was correct. So the only thing here that is obviously going to affect my trial balance is number 2. And let's see if there are any options without number 2 in it. And yes, there is an option without number 2 in it, and that is B. All right, so number 2 is B. Number 1 was A. Okay, so let's go on to number 3. We just keep a little check on the time. All right, number 3, a lot of students had problems with this one as well. Make sure you're tagging your friends. Make sure you're sharing it so that they could come on and catch you live and get their chance to ask the questions. All right, so we have to read again. W, X, Y, and Z are partners sharing profits and losses in proportion to their capital. Okay. The capital of each partner is shown below. So they give us the amount of capital that each person would have invested, right? And it said that they are sharing the profits and losses in proportion to their capital. What would be Z's share of a profit of 7,200? So if the business makes a profit of 7,200, 7,200, how much of that will Z collect? First, to figure that out, we have to work out what is the ratio, what is the sharing ratio for Z? What percentage would Z get? All right, what fraction of the pie would Z get? Okay, and it can be a little bit complicated as the 4 persons, but think about it. If you have 2 persons and one person is getting 300 and the other person is getting 300, what percentage, what ratio, what fraction is each person taking home? And how do you work that out? So always take like a simple figure. If you can't remember the formula, always take a simple figure, work it out, and then take the same steps that you use for the more complicated question. All right, so let's say we have 2 persons. Each person invested $300. That means each person is supposed to get 50%, or each person is supposed to get 0.5. That's going to be the ratio. In this case, we have 4. So I am just going to take the amount that C has invested, which is the 300. This is to find the ratio or the proportion for Z. I'm going to take the amount he invested and I'm going to put it over the entire pool. I'm going to put it over the entire amount. And that is going to tell me what fraction of the profit or the loss has to go to Z. All right, so come to the right side of the screen with me. You're going to see I already have 300 over 900. That is step one. You cannot go anywhere without knowing what fraction or what proportion has to go to Z. Okay, so 300 over 900, I prefer not to work out the fraction per se because I'm going to have a decimal point here. So I'm going to just leave it in the format of 300 divided by 900 or 300 over 900. All right, let me know if you're understanding that. Once we know what the fraction or the proportion is per partner, you're going to take that fraction or that percentage, if you work out the percentage, but I prefer if you leave it in the fraction state, take that fraction or that decimal and multiply it by either the loss or the profit. And that is going to give you the amount of money they are going to get or they are going to lose. All right. So I have the 300 over the 900. And I'm going to multiply that by my 7,200, which is the total profit. And that is going to give me Z's portion, which is, are you working it out? Let me give you some time to work it out. Work it out, work it out. Remember, it takes work, right? We are, and there is no glory without practice. So pull out the calculators and work that out. All right, so it's basically 1/3 of the 7,200. And that is going to give you 2,400. So your answer is E. And guys, when it comes to the exam, you have to be working all these things rapidly. All right, don't go waste time figuring out what W, X, and Y did in access for that. They just wanted to know what was Z's share of the profit. So just work out his fraction, his ratio, and then take that fraction or that ratio and multiply by the total amount that they made. Good? All right. Come on, let me know how things are going. You need to give me some feedback. I cannot see you. All right, but I can see your comments. So let me see what's happening here. All right. Yes, all is well. All right, so number 4. Let me just block this out for a quick second. All right, so number 4 deals with bank reconciliation. All right, number 3 was a partnership. Number 2, I can't remember what it was. Let me just go back up with it. Oh, number 2 was errors and the trial balance. And number 1 was ledgers. All right? So those are the topics that they were looking at there. Make sure you understand them. Okay, so number 4. In the real world, your records in your cash book supposed to match your records in the bank. All right, that's in the real world. In a perfect world, sorry. All right, but sometimes you don't have that happening because of timing differences, because of things happening. So we now, as accountants, we have to create something called a bank reconciliation statement. And even at home, you will do that as well, because if you have a bank account, let's say you have a debit card, when you use that debit card and you go check that account, right? And if you see something looking off, you're going to get your notebook and start writing down, pull out receipts and try to match and see where there is a difference. And it's the same thing when it comes to creating a bank reconciliation statement. You want to see what is the difference and you want to justify and record that difference and then reconcile to make sure, okay, so this is what is happening and this is why there's a difference. As soon as that issue is sorted out, we should be matching. So you don't want to just have a difference between your cash book and your bank statement and just leave it. You need to investigate it. All right. So in this question, the following information is available for Brian's grocery. So they tell us his bank statement shows a balance of $19.40. A check paid to Candice Can for $880 has not been deposited. All right. So that means that it should be recorded in my cash book, but is not deposited. Okay. So this is what we call an unpresented check, because the bank either did not get the check, or, well, an unpresented check is a check that they did not have time to process, or it is something that they did not get. All right. So this $880 will be recorded in my cash book, but is not yet on my bank statement. The mail clerk failed to deposit a check from Riley Matthew for $1,500. Okay, so we received a check. We received a check. The check was not deposited. So the clerk had the check, the bank did not get the check, they did not get time to process the check, they did not get time to update our account. Good? So let's see what is happening here. So we paid a check to Candice for $800, and this was not deposited into the bank. So this means this will be recorded in our cash book. All right. The mail clerk failed to deposit a check. This will also be represented in our cash book, but is not going to be on our bank statement. So we're going to start with our bank statement figure, and we're going to add the amounts that should be added to our bank account, and we're going to deduct the amount that should be deducted from our bank account. All right, so the check was paid to Candice, but it was not deposited. So that means that we would have credited our cash book. So let me just do a quick maths here. So we would have to deduct that 880, all right, because that would be coming out of our account. When Candice eventually goes to the bank and she deposits that check in her account, they're going to take it out from our account. So we have to take away that 880 from our bank statement, all right, because most likely that will be recorded in our cash book already. The amount that should be added, which is the $1,500, which we collected, all right, we would add that to our, okay, so let me show you here. I have to make some adjustments here. All right, so the unpresented check will be 880, right? This is something that it didn't hit the bank processing station as yet, right? So they are not able to deduct it from our account. And then we have this 1,500, which is basically a deposit in transit, right? We sent it in, but the person did not deposit it. This is a deposit in transit. It is in between. So you have to add this 1,500, right? So again, let me just say this very quickly. You want to deduct what would be deducted from your cash book, and you want to add what should be added to your cash book, all right? Because you want to know what is the cash book figure. And that is going to give you, if you do the maths, That should give you 25.60. Yeah?
It's 8 o'clock.
Check it and see if you're getting 25.60 there. The unpresented check, that has to be that has to be deducted. And then the deposit in transit, that has to be added. Right, that should give you 25.60, and your answer is E. And that 25.60 is your cash book balance. That is how much you would have recorded in your cash book, because you would have this 880 on your credit side, or you would have deducted that, and you would have added this 1,500 already to your cash book. It's just that the bank have not had a chance to process those two, and that is why there's a difference. All right, so let's move along to number 5. Capital at the start of a trading period was 20,000, and at the end of the period it was 22,500. Okay. The net profit for the period was 6,500. How much money was withdrawn for that period? Now here they're looking to see if you understand how to update your capital section in your balance sheet. All right, you have to be aware that, okay, so for instance, somebody invests money into a business, the capital is their money. When the business makes a profit, that profit is the owner's money. All right, so ideally, if they don't take any money out of the business, the amount of money that they will have in the business is going to be equal to the capital they invested plus whatever profit that the business makes. So come with me to the right, look for the cursor moving on my screen, and you're going to see I have opening capital written down, 20,000. Profit for the period, 6,500. All right? If they don't withdraw any money from the business, their profit at the end of the period should be 26,500. That is what it should be. But that is not what it is, because they told us that the profit at the end of the period is 22,500. So there is a difference. And that difference would be the amount that the person would have withdrawn. All right? This is something you have to know. This is how they test. Very simply, this is how they test your knowledge of the capital section. You don't have to be a paper 2 question for them to test this. Paper 1 could be so dynamic because they can test any area of the syllabus. Okay? And this question is actually a past paper question. Number 4 is a past paper question as well. All right? So the difference between what it should be and what it actually is, that is your drawings. Or that is the amount of money that was withdrawn. So just take the 2650 minus the 22,500, and that is going to give you your drawings or the amount that was withdrawn. So your answer will be B. So you can do it in an equation kind of format like how I have it here on the right hand side, or you can do your T account, and you have to be able to update your T account. Okay, so the opening profit, the opening capital will go on the right hand side, which is the credit side. The profits will go on the credit side as well, because this is a capital account, and to increase a capital account, we credit. Okay, I don't know if you guys are aware of, there's a mnemonic called dead click, which tells you what to increase. It tells you what to do to increase the different types of account. So you're going to debit expenses, assets, and drawings to increase them. And you're going to credit liability, income, and capital to increase them. Once you know how to increase them, just do the opposite to decrease it. All right? So this is your capital T account here. Opening on the credit, profits on the credit, drawings on the debit side, And then when you find your balance, you're going to have a balance carried forward either on your debit or your credit side, depending on how they would have withdrawn. Right? So give me some feedback. Let me know if I'm going too fast. We have one more. This is the last question I'm going to explain. All right. And it's already just over 30 minutes since we are on. So number 6. A lot of words. So again, you have to take your time and read it. All right. And you have to dissect it. You can't just read it quickly. So P. Amos is employed by a construction company at a rate of $7 per hour. During the week of 6 April, he worked his basic week of 40 hours. Now that 6 April is not relevant. All right, what we want to pay attention to is the amount of hours he worked and the amount he getting per hour. The income tax due is $20, and he is also liable to pay Social Security contribution of 5% of his gross pay. Now, if you have done questions like these, this question is going to be a breeze. But I can tell you, if you have not done enough practice, this could be something that could stop you in your tracks, right? First thing first, what does liable even mean? What is Social Security contribution? All right, how do you even find 5% of his gross pay? What is his gross pay? What is his net pay? So all of these are all things that you have to know so that you can answer this question. All right, liable means he have to pay it. Social Security contribution, this is something that employees have to pay. In Trinidad, we call it national insurance. All right, it could go by a variety of terms, but the point is we have to take all 5% of his gross pay. His gross pay is his salary before they make any deductions. Okay, so let's go across, and his net pay would be his final salary after all the deductions. So let's go across to my working column. And yes, I have the working on the screen already, but I just want to go through it step by step with you. Excuse. All right. So what is his gross pay? That is the first thing we want to find out. All right. And we're going to find out that by taking his hours, 40 hours by the $7 per hour, that's going to give us $280. And I love how they have that $280 there. So if somebody if they didn't have enough practice and they don't know what to do, from the time you work on that 280, they will believe that that is the correct answer. And that's actually not the correct answer. As a teacher, as an educator, I would tell you when I am even creating multiple choice questions, I think about all the possible mistakes that students can make, and that is included there. And that is also what CXC does. All right. So we know what his gross pay is. They told us that we have to take out income tax. But before we even take out the income tax, we have to take out the 5%, because that 5% has to come out from his gross pay. Okay, so 5% of the gross pay. Now you could go work out 5% and then take it away from the 280, or you could just find 95% of the 280. You're going to get the same answer. Again, I just want to reiterate that you don't have much time when you're doing the exam. So you want to be able to work things out quickly, and you want to do shortcuts. If you have to go find for 5% and then take away that from 280, that is going to take you some time. It's easier and it's shorter, it's quicker to just find 95% of 280. 280 is 100%. When I deduct my Social Security, that's I'm deducting 5%. All right. So pay after Social Security is 95%, and we want to get that pay after his Social Security. So then we can go and deduct our income tax to find his net pay. All right. So the pay after the Social Security is $266. We have to now take the $20 from that to give you the $246. And that is his net pay. All right. If they ask you for the Social Security amount, then you have to go find out what 5% of the gross pay is. But they didn't ask us for that. They asked us to find his net pay. So you want to be able to go there as quickly as possible. All right, and we are at the end of this live. We have a special running right now. So if you're having problems with any one of those topics that we touched on today, if you're having problems with the more challenging topics in the syllabus, which is usually the later topics, we have a limited time offer on our accelerator crash program. It's not a crash course. It's a program. It's actually 9 weeks or 2 months basically. And this is only for students who are writing exams in June 2021. All right, regardless of whatever country you're from, once you're writing exams in June 2021, you can take advantage and sign up now. You can save $400. We normally charge $300 a month. All right, but because so many students are in my DMs, Miss, I need help, Miss, I need help, Miss, we can't afford, I've decided to drastically reduce my prices to help as many students as possible. So this accelerator crash program is going to be $199 TT or 29.4 US. It doesn't matter what country you're from, we can assist you and help you fully understand the more challenging topics. We're going to be covering from topic 6 to topic 11 on the syllabus during those 9 weeks. All right, so once again, for students writing exams June 2021, take advantage of this limited time offer special and, get the information explained to you so that you can get the grades that you want. All right, if you understood what was shared, I need you to know, give me some feedback, drop a 1 in the comments. If you find that this was a good live, tell me what you liked about the live. Share with me. I just shared some information with you guys. You share with me now what you thought about the live. And again, don't forget to connect with us on Instagram. All right. You can connect with us also using our contact information. So let me just run back up quickly. So number 6, answer is A. Number 5, answer is B. Number 4 is A. Number 3 is A as well. Number 2 is B. And number 1 was A. All right. Here are our contact information if you need to reach out to us. And I look forward to helping you guys fully understand those challenging topics so you can get that one. That's it. That's the end of today's live.